Yes, so that's what we have seen till now. We have seen a change which is consistent, and that's why logically the rate of change is also consistent, that is constant. You take any other values for x1 and x2. Say suppose now I'll take this point. Right? So here, what is delta x? Delta x is change in x. So that is 3 minus minus 1, that is 4. What is delta y? Delta y is 9 minus 1, that is 8. And what is delta y by delta x? That is actually 8 by 4 or 2. So irrespective of the point which we choose, whether we choose these points or whether we choose these points, it doesn't matter, right? What is the rate of change? 2. What is the rate of change here? 2. That means this rate of change is actually constant. That's what we mean by uniform change, where the rate of change is constant or uniform throughout. Right? And in every straight line graph, you will get this. Even that can be proven. How to prove that? So let this be our coordinate axis, and let this be any line. Doesn't matter, it's just a straight line. Okay, when we say delta y by delta x, what do we mean? So we take 2 points which represents y, 2 points which represents x and y, right? So suppose this is our first point. This is A. Let this be x1 and this y1, right? Now take another point. So this point A is x1 comma y1. Take another point, say this one. So this will be our y2 and this will be our x2, right? Now what is x2 minus x1? X2 minus x1 is this length from here to here. This is x2 minus x1. And what is y2 minus y1? So this from y1 to y2. This is y2 minus y1. Now if I want to join, if I extend this further from here to here, and this from here to here. So this was our point B. B was x2, B is x2 comma y2. This is B. This is A. What do we want? We want delta y, or here delta y by delta x. That is in case of AB. From one point is A, another point is B. In that case, what will be delta y by delta x? Suppose this point of intersection is C. Then will delta y by delta x equals to change in y, that is y2 minus y1, divided by change in x, that is x2 minus x1. Now if you see this figure carefully, isn't y2 minus y1 equals to BC, and x2 minus x1 is length of AC, right? Now if that is the case, what is B in triangle ABC? In triangle ABC, what actually is BC by AC? If this angle is theta, then can I represent this trigonometrically? I mean, by trigonometry, what is BC by AC? Isn't it tan theta? So that means I can say that this delta y by delta x is actually equals to tan theta when we considered AB. Now take any other point. Say I take this point and this point. Let it be P, Q, right? So now drawing a line through this and another line from Q downwards. Let this point be R. So if P is say x3 comma y3 and Q is x4 comma y4. Now is this delta y? And if it is delta y, what is that? Y4 minus y1. This is delta x, sorry, y4 minus y3, and this is delta x and it is x4 minus x3, correct? Now in this case, if I have to find, that is from P to Q, if I have to find delta y by delta x, what will be that? That will be y4 minus y3 divided by x4 minus x3, correct? But what exactly is y4 minus y3? That is QR divided by x4 minus x3, that is PR. Now in triangle PQR, and before going there, what about this angle? If this angle is theta, is this angle also theta? Because this line AC and this line PR, they are parallel to x-axis. And this blue line is actually the transversal. So this angle BAC and angle QPR are actually equal, right? They are on the same side of transversal, so that angle should be equal. They are the corresponding angles. So in triangle PQR, angle P is actually theta. And what is this QR divided by PR? So that is also nothing but tan theta. So what does it mean? That here also delta y by delta x is equals to tan theta. So what we have done here is that we have chosen arbitrary point. We have not taken one specific point. We have taken any 2 points on any straight line. So there is no specific equation for this. There is no specific values for x1, y1 or x2, y2 or x3, y3 or x4, y4. We have not done that. We have taken any generic point on any generic line, any 2 such generic points, and we have seen that, or we have tried to find out the rate of change of y with respect to with respect to x, that is delta y by delta x. And in both the cases we have seen that that comes out to be equal to tan theta, irrespective of where you take those 2 points. So that means theta is anyways not going to change, because theta is angle of that particular line with x-axis. So that is not going to change for a straight line. That will change only if you change the line. But if the line is fixed, line means function. If a function is fixed, which represents a straight line, then in that case, that straight line will have a constant angle with x-axis, that is theta, and tan theta will be the rate of change. And that's why we see here that for a straight line, if a function is a straight line, that rate of change is always going to be constant. So straight line will always represent, the straight line graph will always represent that the rate of change of a quantity with respect to another quantity is uniform, right? So it doesn't matter in this the rate of change will be always constant. Such changes are also called, they are also called average rate of change, which is delta y divided by delta x, right? Its examples are speed, that is average speed. So suppose you started from Bangalore to Mysore. Suppose you are covering that distance around 250 kilometers, and for that the time taken is 50 or say 5 hours. So now what is this speed now? What was your speed? So your speed will be 250 kilometers divided by 5 hours, or 50 kilometers per hour. So that is the speed. This speed which you find here is very important here, that such speed is called average speed. And there is a limitation here. Limitation is that you must know the distance, total distance covered, and the total time taken. These two things must be known. That means a particular incident or event for which we are calculating the rate of change, that event must have finished. Then only I'll be able to calculate the speed with which I traveled, or the average speed with which I traveled the journey, or with which I covered the this distance, that is 250 kilometers, or the average speed of the journey. So what do we need? We need to know these two things in advance. These must be known, otherwise you won't be able to calculate the average speed. So that means we can, for a journey, if you have to find average speed, that journey must have completed. Otherwise you cannot predict what will be your average speed. But in reality, does it happen? So we don't know how much time we can say approximate time we can say, but that is not always correct. One thing. Second thing, while driving, so on that panel where we see the speed, so on this panel, this shows our speed. So that speed, what do you think is that speed? Is that speed average speed? So answer is it cannot be, because average speed can be calculated only when your journey is complete and you are still driving. So your journey is not complete, so it cannot show you the average speed. That is first thing, the first logic behind it. Second, suppose you are very brilliant and somehow you manage to find average speed. But while driving, that average speed is not useful. In fact, in this case, that is dangerous. Suppose your current speed is something which you don't know, but you are trying to overtake a say a truck which is driving at 100 kilometers per hour, but you somehow your intelligence or your intelligent speedometer has shown you that your average speed is going to be 50 kilometers per hour. So this meter is still showing 50 kilometers per hour when you are actually overtaking a truck which is moving at 80 kilometers per hour. That means even if you somehow manage to get average speed, in practical life, this is actually not required. This is not useful. This is not required. This is actually dangerous. So what speed should that panel show? That panel should actually show us the instantaneous speed. What does that mean? That is the speed at that particular instant. We need that. Is it clear? What is average speed? What is instantaneous speed? What is average rate of change? What is instantaneous rate of change? And what is the importance? Both are important. The average as well as the instantaneous, both are important. While driving, I need in my car, the dashboard panel should actually show me the instantaneous speed. Okay, now if we see this, if a change is like this, if a change is like a straight line, so I know just now we have proved that here rate of change is always going to be constant. So if that is the case, I can easily conclude here that instantaneous rate of change is equals to average rate of change if the graph is linear. So I hope you understood this. This is applicable only when the graph is linear. So if a graph is linear, your average rate of change as well as the instantaneous rate of change, both are going to be same, because we have already seen that in such cases rate of change is always uniform. Always uniform means for the smallest instant also it will be same uniform value. Obviously such changes are not many in our day-to-day life, but it doesn't mean that such changes does not exist where rate of change is uniform. So can you give me some examples where rate of change is uniform? So obviously when we are driving, is the rate of change uniform or not? Yeah, please answer. Someone can unmute his mic and answer. In day-to-day life, suppose we are driving or we are running or we are doing some work, is our rate of change instantaneous? Is our rate of change uniform or non-uniform?
Non-uniform.
Sir, it's not uniform.
Non-uniform, right? Now, can you think of some change in your day-to-day life which is uniform, where the rate of change is uniform? Same amount of time is taken if the same amount of change or movement or motion takes place. Any example?
So when we walk,
When you walk, okay. But do you really think that you take always same amount of time for same distance always? Can we guarantee that? It's not like we cannot do that, but it's not always. But I mean, it's not like always you will have, or for that, you can say that it is not. It is possible, but it is difficult. Something which on its own, or by nature itself, it is uniform in nature. The change is uniform in nature. What about the wall clock?
Yes, sir.
Right? So wall clock will always cover same number of rounds in that particular, in a wall clock, the hands, whether it is hour hand or minute hand or even second hand, it will cover the same amount or same number of rounds in a given time. Whether you make that or make a note of that today or tomorrow or day after, it doesn't make any difference, right? So that is one example. The revolution of Earth around the sun, that is also uniform. Rotation of Earth on its own axis, that is also uniform. So there are many changes which are uniform, right? So in such cases, instantaneous rate of change will be actually equals to average rate of change. Okay, next we'll move to second part, where we have seen the non-uniform change. So again, it is represented by a function. You have already seen y is equals to x square is one such function which is non-uniform. So x changes from, say, this is x and y. X changes from 0 to 1, y is changing from 0 to 1. Then x is changing from 1 to 2. Now y is not changed to 2, y will change to 4. Next, if it changes to 3, now y will change to 9. So this is not uniform. This is +1, here it is +3, and here it is +5. Such changes are called non-uniform changes. So in such cases, how are we going to find the average as well as instantaneous rate? So average rate still holds the same definition, that is delta y by delta x, right? So for example, from x is equals to 1 to x is equals to 5, if I have to find that. So we don't need it for 4, but for 5, if x is 5, y will be 25. So if x is changing from 1 to 5, what is delta x here? 4. What is delta y here? Delta y is y2, that is 25, minus 1, that is 24. So what is delta y by delta x? This is 24 by 4, or 6 units per unit of time. That is the rate of change, and that is actually average rate of change. Now the same average rate of change, if I want to find from x is equals to, say, 2 to x is equals to 6. So delta x is still 4. So in both the cases here, delta x is same. Change in x is same. But what is change in y here? Now change in y. That is, if x changes to 6, y will be 36. So this will be 36 minus 4, or 32. And for this interval, that is from 2 to 6, delta y by delta x will be 32 by 4, or 8. Correct? So here you can see this average. Here it is 6 and here it is 8. When this interval is changed. When this interval is changed. So in interval from x equals to 1 to 5, rate of change was 6. In interval from x equals to 2 to 6, rate of change was 8. These things are actually average rate. And they are not same. And as we have said, that's why it is a non-uniform change. So the rate of change is not fixed. Here it is 6, here it is 8. We'll change the interval. Again, this will change. But if we have to find average rate, we must have a interval, and in that interval only we will be able to find the rate of change. That is average rate. And because average rate is not fixed, I cannot pick one of the average rate and say that this is the instantaneous rate. So there should be a mechanism to find average rate here, right? And what is that? So now to do that, suppose this is our graph, and this is our x and y axis, and suppose this is the graph of function f of x. It can be anything, but whatever it is, you will have a graph for that. So this is the graph for that function. Now in this itself, without even doing any calculation, we can see that at somewhere there is the rate of change is higher. For example, in this segment you can see the rate is very high, but again it is trying to be flat. So here the rate of change is little slower. Okay, anyway, so obviously we have already seen that rate of change is different for different section or different interval of x. What we need is a mechanism to find instantaneous rate. What is instantaneous rate? So average rate is that you have a interval like this, x1 to x2, for which y will change from y1 to, or y is changing from y1 to y2. So this, in this interval, this is the change in y, that is delta y. So we say that delta y by delta x, delta y by delta x, this is our average rate of change. What we want is an instantaneous rate. Instantaneous rate means the change in x is very, very, very small, instant, right? So when this change in x is very, very small, that for that if I find the change in y, that will be called rate or instantaneous rate of change. So if I want to define instantaneous rate of change, this instantaneous rate of change is actually what? This same delta y by delta x, but for a very small value of delta x. So what? How can we represent that? In maths, we have a term for that, or we have a technique for that, that is called limits, that we'll study in maths later. So limit of this delta y by delta x, when this delta x is almost, I'm not writing equal to, I'm writing almost equals to 0. So this is a technique in mathematics of finding limits of a function. When something changes or something approaches a given value. For example, here delta x is approaching 0. So this means this is, we are talking about an instant, not a range. It is an instant where delta x is almost 0. Such things are represented by dy by dx. That is limit of this, correct? And this thing is called differentiation. This thing is called differentiation. But as you have already seen, for this, what should we know? We should know how to find the limits. Obviously, that we'll study later, correct? So this limits we'll study in math. For the time being, we should know that this is called differentiation of y with respect to x. Differentiation of y with respect to x. So y is being differentiated with respect to x. That actually means we are finding rate of change of y with respect to x. So that is the purpose of differentiation. The first purpose of differentiation is to find instantaneous rate of change. And that's what we are going to find here. Now we'll study how to find this using limits later. But for the time being, we'll have few techniques of finding differentiation. Here itself you can see what is y. Y is a function of x. That means what? X changes, y will change. So y is equals to f of x. So what is dy by dx? It is rate of change of, this is rate of change of y with respect to x. That is the first application of differentiation. That is actually the need for which differentiation was introduced, or it came into picture. Any doubt in this?
Sir,
Yes, go ahead.
sir, I want to ask, but in rate of change of y with respect to x, such that change in x is very small, right?
Yes, when change in x is very small. So, and that can be, if you want to write it in one word, you can introduce here instantaneous rate of change of y with respect to x. Is it clear? So if y is distance, x is time, dy by dx will be instantaneous speed. That is an example of that. So in the next video or in the next session, we are going to study how to find this differentiation. Right now, we just understood what is differentiation or what is the use of differentiation. It is actually used to find the rate of change of y with respect to x, and there are multiple other application as well. But this is the use, or this is the requirement, or this is the need of differentiation. That's how differentiation came into picture. Right? And one topic we have left for the future, that is how, or that is about the limits. So obviously that is not required for your physics part. So that's why we'll study that in our maths class. Okay.